Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Los Angeles. I understand you had a great time with the chairman last night at his reception. So we're going to get started. Jim has vowed to get you out of here in record-breaking time, so we're going to hold him to that. My name is Mignon Moore, and I serve as the co-chair of this committee alongside my dear friend Jim Roosevelt. Before we begin, please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the roll call. Because this meeting is being live streamed, please be sure to use your microphone and state your name before speaking for the listening remote audience and for the court reporter. We're glad to be joined by Helen McFadden, our parliamentarian. Helen, will you call the roll, please?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Alex?
Present. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Andrews?
Present.
Mr. Applebaum?
Here.
Ms. Blanco?
Presente.
Ms. Brazil has given her proxy to Ms. Verrett. Ms. Brown?
Present.
Mr. Buckley? I've seen him. Okay. Ms. Cardona?
Presente.
Mr. Carnahan? Seen him. Okay. Ms. Conrad?
Present.
Ms. Daughtry has given her proxy to Jason Ray. Mr. Davia Perez?
Present.
Ms. Davis? Mr. Devermont?
Present.
Thank you. Ms. Dingle has given her proxy to Ms. Cardona. Ms. Dowdell?
Present.
Ms. Dugirat, I'm sorry, let me try. Dugirala?
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Eldridge?
Present.
Ms. Fowler?
Here.
Ms. Free?
Present.
Mr. Goodman? Ms. Hernandez?
Present.
Mr. Hicks?
Present.
Mr. Wynn has given his proxy to Stuart Applebaum. Ms. Kmark has given her proxy to Ms. Fowler. Mr. Kapp?
Here.
Mr. Kerrigan?
Here.
Ms. Klebe?
Here.
Mr. Leone? Here. Ms. Lewis has given her proxy to Artie Blanco. Ms. Lopez Franson?
Here.
Mr. McDonald?
Here.
Ms. Monroe Marino? Mr. Munoz has given his proxy to Mr. Alex. Mr. Marie?
Present.
Mr. Ray?
Here.
Mr. Seltzer has given his proxy to Ms. Wheaton, Ms. Campagna Wheaton. Mr. Shea? Ms. Spain?
Present.
Mr. Spate has given his proxy to David McDonald. Ms. Swecker? Mr. Thompson has given his proxy to Ms. Swecker. Mr. Treiber?
Here.
Mr. Unamoto?
Here.
Ms. Verrett? Mr. Washington. Mr.
Present.
Washington?
Present.
And Ms. Campagna-Wheaton.
Present.
Certainly have a quorum, which is 20.
Thank you, Helen. We have a quorum. Per our charter and bylaws, a quorum is 40% of, or 20 members, present or in person or by proxy. Before we get started, I'm just going to go briefly over the meeting overview. And before we do that, I'd like to introduce to some, but certainly not to me, this gentleman that's sitting next to me, Will Alexander. I had the pleasure of working with Will at the convention, and he served the state parties and territories with such distinction. I am so happy that he will be working with Sham over these next couple of years. Put that out there. But he comes to us as, like I said, he was our state and territorial delegation outreach for the 2024 Democratic Convention, and he previously served as our Southern Regional Director for the ASDC. Members and guests, please welcome again to the Rules and Bylaws Committee, Will Alexander. Today we'll discuss two proposed amendments to the DNC Charter and Bylaws and proposed standing rules for the DNC General Session meetings. Jim?
Thank you, Mignon, and it's great to be here with all of you, especially with Chair Martin and Co-Chair Moore. We've received two proposed charter and bylaws amendments, one from Chair Martin as a follow-up to an amendment passed in August, and one from RBC member Stephanie Wheaton. We will start with Amendment 1. As you will recall, in August, the DNC adopted a charter and bylaws amendment to expand the DNC Executive Committee to include representatives from the treasurers, lieutenant governors, secretaries of state, and attorneys general associations, the high school Democrats, and the immediate past DNC chair. Passage of that amendment put the bylaws in conflict with the charter, Article 4, Section 2, that says the difference between regionally elected members and those members selected by different means should be no more than 24. The difference is currently at 20, and by adding 6 more members, that would place the bylaws out of compliance with the charter. The adoption of the amendment included a proviso that clarified that the 4 additional members from the treasurers, lieutenant governors, secretaries of state, and attorneys general associations would not be added to the executive committee until an amendment to Charter Article 4, Section 2 has been passed to allow for the inclusion of those additional members. The charter amendment before you today allows for the seating of those additional members by increasing the differential between regionally elected members and those elected by other means from 24 to 26. I would ask for a motion to recommend the language in Amendment 1 for adoption, which will allow us to begin discussion. Is there a motion? Mr. Applebaum moves.
Second.
And there's several seconds. Steve Kerrigan seconds. So it's been properly moved and seconded. So members, the floor is open for discussion. Please turn your name tents vertically in order to signify that you would like to speak. Staff, please track the members who wish to be recognized. Mr. McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. David McDonald, Washington. I don't want to bury the lead. I'm not going to try to stop this amendment. I don't want to delay the seating of people that we have approved on the executive committee. My concern is the method that we are using to solve the conflict with the charter that we have. And so what I want to speak to is suggesting to the committee that we go ahead and pass this today, but view it as a temporary solution and come back and revisit at a different time a better long-term solution to the problem that we have developed over the years. And I will preface that by saying there are several things in life I'm fairly certain of. One of them is the sun will come up in the east, the tide will come in the morning, and the executive committee will expand. And with that background, when we started this operation in 1974, the charter, if you go back and look at it, says that at least half of the executive committee had to be elected by the regional caucuses, the 4 regional caucuses. And I'm saying this partially for the benefit of the roughly 2/3 of this committee who's brand new to the committee and has not seen this pattern develop. I couldn't find a set of bylaws from that time period. The earliest set of bylaws I could find was in 1995. In 1995, the executive committee consisted of 53 members. And the provision that we're looking at, what you might call the Delta provision, said that no more than 14 of those members, other members of the executive committee, that the number of members of the executive committee who were selected by other than the regional caucuses could not exceed the number of regional caucus members by more than 14. And the 9 officers of the DNC were included in the categories of people who were not elected by the regional caucuses. That's why you had a committee of 53 people and you had 20 members of the regional caucuses. 2002, we decided to expand the committee to 63 people from its 53 people. And rather than maintain the balance that we had struck with the regional caucuses, we decided to change the Delta provision to allow 10 more members to be selected by someone other than the regional caucuses. That held fairly stable for the next 10 years as we only expanded the committee, executive committee, to 65 people across that time period. And we changed the Delta to 1, by 1 more to 24. Then we got to 2021 and we took another big jump in the executive committee. We decided to make it 70 some odd people. And we forgot about the Delta provision. Got ignored the first time through. So in summer of 2022, we decided to increase the executive committee again, and this time the Delta problem was caught. So we needed to fix the Delta problem. So we fixed the Delta problem in the summer of 2022 by increasing the Delta to 33. To 33, except we didn't explicitly do it. What we did is we wrote language in to exclude the 9 officers from the Delta calculation, but the practical effect is the same. And then now today, we're talking about increasing the Delta to 22 plus the 9 officers to 35. So someplace between when we passed the charter and saying that the regional caucuses should have voices amounting to at least half of the committee, executive committee, we have reduced them down to about 1/4 of the executive committee without ever really having a discussion about whether that's a good idea to reduce their influence or, for that matter, exactly what the executive committee does. So I think it would be, as I said, I don't want to delay the people that we have already told they're going to be on the executive committee. And I don't want to interfere with the chair's restructuring of the executive committee in that fashion. But I do think this is a serious problem, and it slips under the radar screen because of the kind of 4-year cycles and waves that these things come up with. And I hope we can come up with a better solution for it. Thank you.
Frank?
Yeah, Frank Leone, DC. Just a quick question, because I haven't counted them up. If we pass this, how many members are there on the executive committee, and how many regional caucus representatives are there? Do we have that number? Thank you.
He's pulling it up.
We're
Frank.
confirming.
We have a total of 20 regional members, and for the purpose of this count, there are 40, as it currently stands with the proviso, there are 42 non-regional members. With the addition of these 4 additional folks, that number would go up to 46. And then when you add the 9 officers in, so that 66-member committee becomes 75.
Of which 20 would be regional members.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And the vote among those who are present and voting is unanimous. We'll now move to consider the second amendment submitted by RBC member Stephanie Wheaton. This amendment proposes to add one member from each recognized state Democratic Party and any of the Democratic Party and of the Democratic parties of Guam, the Virgin Islands, American Samoa, and the Northern Mariana Islands, who is under the age of 32 at the time of their election. Before we open the floor for discussion, I'd like to invite the submitter of the amendment to provide brief remarks. Stephanie?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very, very nervous. What a fun committee. But just wanted to say a few remarks on this motion. I very lovingly called this the bench builder amendment. The reason that I proposed this was because right now, as it stands, we have fewer than 40 members of this body, of the DNC, that are under the age of 36, which is considered a young Democrat by our party. At a time when our big party tent is rapidly expanding, at a time when our country is facing a whole lot of fun new things that we've never faced before, at a time when the brand of the party might not be the strongest that it's ever been, we need fresh new faces to make sure that we are at the forefront of organizing, at the forefront of ideas, at the forefront of everything that youth brings with it. And also someone needs to be able to rotate a PDF. So want to make sure that we have I want to make sure that we are building this bench, and I, for one, have learned so much from sitting on this committee, and I do want to thank Chair Martin for expanding the DNC already, for giving so many more young people the opportunity to serve on committees, but we cannot learn if we are not physically in these spaces. We cannot be prepared to lead the next generation if we are not here with you all. And again, I have learned so much from this committee specifically. I would like to talk to David McDonald for an hour every week. Like, honestly, great time. But I also know that we cannot do this unless we have more of us in here. And right now there are two, which I think the last time that happened, maybe Secretary Ray and someone else like 10 years ago. But I am incredibly grateful that we are here, and that is why I proposed this amendment.
So thank you for that introduction. Are you going to go ahead and submit the motion?
Yes, sir. I apologize. Mr. Chair, I seek to move this amendment. I don't know the right
Second.
language. Okay.
So it's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion?
Andre?
Andre?
Thank you, co-chairs. Andre Triber, DNC member from Texas, and also I currently serve as chair of the DNC Youth Council. I want to echo a bunch of the thank yous that Steph said for so many of the people in this room that have been incredibly supportive of youth. We have a former youth council chair. We have the youth council founder. We have our party chairman who has made more appointments for young people to the DNC and to DNC committees as far as anyone knows in living history, the high watermark. So there is a lot of progress, and we do appreciate it. And Steph mentioned a bunch of the positive reasons why it's good to have young folks around. And it's my turn to just mention some of the unique challenges that young people face, in particular when trying to get on the DNC, and why we're pursuing this amendment. First, I think a lot of people here would agree that it's difficult to be elected to the DNC even if you are a tenured and experienced Democrat. A lot of people run for these positions when they're able to, and a lot of really, really good, really, really qualified people lose for positions all the time on the DNC. And that is compounded when you are a younger Democrat that fundamentally, just due to the way time works, cannot have as much experience and time around the party as some of the more tenured folks that you're running against. So already it is very difficult to break through. And considering the different ways that states hold elections, there are some kinds of elections that happen within the party, especially ones where a slate is presented that sometimes a young person was never even considered. So opening up this process to just be able to consider more young people alone would already be a step up. Then, of course, there's just the laws of science and physics. Time and age affects us all. We can elect really, really good young members, and through no fault of their own, they will eventually not be young members. We have, I like to use him as an example here again, Michael Kapp, the previous chair of Youth Council before me, and he is no longer considered part of Youth Council, but he's still a fantastic member and here contributing, and there's a reason he continues to be reelected, but that's one fewer young person then because he's doing such a good job here. And that happens to a lot of people. There are a lot of people that get elected to the DNC younger than the age of 36 and continue to stick around because they are good members. But just due to numbers, then that means there's just fewer young people. And compared to other councils and caucuses in this room, the Youth Council in particular faces that unique challenge of we lose membership all the time, not just due to election, but just due to birthdays. And then the last thing I'm going to compare to is why this amendment particularly gives a seat to each state and then gives that a youth seat as opposed to just mandating with what we have here. So in Texas, we hold our DNC elections in a very, very unique way that I'm proud of, which is most of our seats are actually divided up between our caucuses. And then those caucuses hold elections for their preference. And as a result, Texas has a very, very diverse and representative slate that I'm super proud of. And I myself won my seat here by way of winning election and re-election out of my youth caucus. But obviously, Texas is one of the largest delegations on the DNC, and that's just something that is simply not practical. So if we had went around to the states, especially the small states that only have 2 members up for election that aren't their chair and vice chair, and then limited one of those seats, that would be deeply unfair to them. So as a compromise to that, giving this additional seat that was not there before doesn't take away from anyone that was already here, doesn't take away from states. In fact, it actually expands the power, particularly of state parties and of smaller states as well. So thank you very much for your time and consideration, everyone. We really appreciate it. We've had really, really great conversations with you as this has come up, and I look forward to hearing more of it. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
David.
I do have something to say, but I want to make sure nobody else has anything else they want to say on this amendment. Okay, thank you for the shout out, Stephanie, and I can guarantee that if the subject is rules, my wife will yield an hour's worth of time to you every week. And also, I guess before I go on, I want to say, Andrew, as I understand it, Texas does not do the division you're talking about by rule, but by what sometimes happens in Texas, a wink and a nod and an understanding of some kind as to how it works.
Different people will give you different answers as to how formal that is and how formal it should be.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is because I do object to the consideration of this amendment at this point because it violates the prohibition in the existing charter against imposing quotas other than in connection with equal division. And I think it's out of order at this point.
Stephanie?
Mr. Chair, I would like permission to withdraw this motion. Yeah. Oh, do I speak now? Okay. Thought process. Thank you so much to everyone who has had these conversations. Y'all have gotten a lot of calls from me in the past few weeks, and I truly appreciate your time consideration. And I think that there is definitely an appetite in this room, at least, to have more young people. I think that this might not be the best way to do it, but I think that we can all agree that having more young people in the DNC would not be a bad thing. So I look forward to building with all of you. I encourage you all to become monthly donors to your local YDA chapter, and I would love to talk to you more about youth building. And I want to thank again Chair Martin. I want to thank President Klebb for all of her support and the state party chairs we've spoken to. Really looking forward to building with all of you. And with that, we can have a really short session. So, Mr. Chair, I seek permission to withdraw the motion.
Mr. Chair.
And thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Co-Chair. And I just wanted to take this moment to thank Stephanie, Andre, our young leaders for stepping up and representing the voices of the communities they serve. And I think while she's withdrawing this amendment, it shouldn't mean that we are withdrawing from the conversation. And how we actually expand this tent and bring more youth voices into our party, and not just into this room. We had a great meeting this morning where we convened our first youth coordinated campaign table, I think, ever. various youth organizations, not just within the party, but folks organizing young voters throughout this country, to have a broader conversation about how we can actually make sure we connect with young voters and engage them in politics. And part of that means that all of us in this room need to realize our responsibility in this moment too. What are we doing to make sure in these hallowed spaces of power that there's more young people here? And so my ask of you is, while Stephanie has made the decision to withdraw this, that we do not withdraw from the conversation, that we continue to challenge each other to think about, maybe this wasn't the right proposal, although I think it was great. Maybe there's another way to do this. Maybe there's some other way we can accomplish the same thing, which is to make sure there's more than just 2 young people who sit on the Rules and Bylaws Committee or on the Credentials Committee or on whatever committee. So my ask of this committee and others is to keep the conversation going. And don't just talk to yourselves, talk to Steph, talk to Andre, talk to other young people on the DNC and frankly back in your states. So thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Andre, for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Shad, were you okay? So without objection, we'll consider the motion withdrawn, but as the chair has said, we'll not consider the discussion terminated. I see, Jane, would you like to say something?
It's just one brief comment that I just wanted to acknowledge Stephanie and Andre. In the early 2000s, I was very involved in nonprofit activism and was in the streets protesting the WTO. And one of my good friends was in the White House, and he said to me, you know, if you care so much about these issues, you should be involved in democratic politics. And at the same time, Chris Galloway was the president of the Young Democrats of America. And he said to me, you have so much passion, you should come work for me as the executive director of the Young Dems. And I had never thought about being involved in partisan politics. My career path was definitely going to be in nonprofit activism. And I'm sure there are some days partisan Democrats wish my days were only in nonprofit activism. But I am here today as the president of the Association of State Democratic Committees because of my learning and experience and days of Young Democrats. And I learned Robert's Rules of Order. I learned how to put an agenda together. I learned how to create coalition. I learned how to whip votes. I learned how to create lasting friendships. So I think it is absolutely critical that our organization figures out how to bring more young people into these rooms. So thank you for bringing this together. Thank you, Chair Martin, for saying that we'll continue this conversation. I absolutely think everybody in this room wants to do that.
Thank you, Jane. And I'm going to turn it over to my co-chair, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. And thanks, Stephanie, thank you so much. I have observed you as the new member of this committee, and you are, I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, she will not be going away. She has made her voice very known on this committee, so thank you so much.
Ray wants to say something.
Oh, Ray? Mm-hmm.
Thank you, co-chairs. When Steph first talked to me about this issue, I immediately was like, okay, well, how do we at least move this forward if this doesn't go? And one of the things that I've been frustrated over the years is we don't really do a good job at enforcing, making sure that the pathway is explained clearly for the delegate selection process to young people on how to become a delegate or how to become a DNC member. And as we go forward and write the various paperwork that we're going to be doing, I hope that we put that enforcement stronger so that it's readily available. Somebody can go onto any state party website and immediately say how to become a delegate, how to become, and written in English so that regular people can understand it. And I think that that's the least we can do, is making sure that the pathways are clear, they're understandable, and that they are explained in a manner that people can really grasp, even if they're not full-time political operatives.
We have 2 more people. Andre, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I just want to say, Stephanie, I appreciated our conversation last night, and Sister Girl, I got your back. But I just want to make sure that we know that youth and membership go hand in hand, and membership through youth is our lifeline. So this conversation will continue. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to my brother Andre.
We have Michael Capps. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Michael Capp, California. My pronouns are he, him. I'm also the former chair of the Youth Council, and I did pay Mr. Traber to say those nice things about me. It is very hard to get elected to the DNC as a young person. At the time of my first election, I was the youngest person ever elected in my state at the age of 30, which I've always said was way too old to be the youngest ever. I had to compete for my seat with people who had been doing this work for decades, who had tremendous advantages against me. And when I won, I acknowledged that I won because of the tremendous privileges that I had to help me win my seat. I'm straight, white, male, I had a good government job, and a boss willing to give me the time off of work to campaign around my state. And most young Democrats in California, and really in all of our states, they don't share those privileges. So I hope that we can work together to lower these barriers to party power. And as Chair Martin directed all of us, I look forward to continuing these conversations with all of you so that we can continue to build the Democratic Party pipeline together. Thank you.
Keith?
Yes, Keith Ubamoto from California, and Californians, or many of the Californians, know that I began on the DNC immediately following my term as California Young Democrat president. And clearly, all of us recognize the importance of the young voters. Subsequent to that tenure, working with Governor Gray Davis, we had a Central Valley Economic Summit, and what he did was create a UC campus in Central Valley called University of California, Merced. And as a lot of you know, Adam Gray won by 87 votes, and that campus is in the heart of Adam Gray's district. The youth vote, along with many other voters, were pivotal to that one Democratic flip in last election. So as we go forward, I think some of the activities that we should be recognizing are the fundamental activities of the party. For instance, my daughter was what they call a state assembly fellow, and she was asked, she was supposed to be putting together legislation for Assemblyman Berman. And one of the things that emulate this discussion is talking to the assembly member and saying, and in California we have drop boxes for ballots. We need a drop box in every single University of California campus, every California State University campus, every community college campus. She presented that to her boss. She carried it, staffed it for him, and that is now the law of California. That is clearly another way for us to involve youth, because at every single one of those campuses, I have been telling legislators and candidates, help that college Dem club, if it's not there, get started and win that election. And so in echoing the philosophy of all this, that's what I think all of us agree we need to do. And I will applaud my party chair, because during that tenure, he assigned 14 staff members to work on the college campuses in California so we could win elections. So let's work together. Appreciate your raising the issue. keep on raising this issue because that's how we're going to win this election, future elections.
Chad?
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. I just want to publicly thank Steph for bringing this and double down on the comments everybody has said, but especially something President Kleb said, which is, as a former young person myself, I was elected as a young Dem chair of my state in Colorado and have since aged out. But one of the greatest privileges of continuing to come back to these meetings and participate in the work at the ASDC and the DNC is working with my friends like Chair Clayton, Chair Conrad, new chairs who I'm building relationships with that all come from either YDA or their respective Young Dem chapters. And so publicly, I commit to work with you on finding a solution that we can bring back to this body and pass, but also just appreciate you all doing it and doing the hard work of forcing us to have this conversation. And just thank you for doing that.
Is there any more discussion? Thanks. Well, we'll move to the next section. Our next order of business is consideration of standing rules for the DNC General Session meetings. While this might be a new process for meetings of the full Democratic National Committee, establishing standing rules is not a novel concept. For example, our DNC standing committees, like most deliberative bodies, operate under rules of procedure. These rules aim to provide structure for the meeting of the DNC, full DNC membership. You'll find a copy of the rules in your folders, and I'll provide an overview of the document before we open the floor for discussion. There are 7 sections covered in this document: general rules, debate, voting, committee reports, authority, interpretation, record, and amendments. To facilitate this conversation, we will go section by section before I ask for a motion to adopt the entire document. So we'll start with section 1. Are there any changes to section 1? I'll ask the staff to track. We'll move on to section 2. Oh, we do have, Frank, is that for section 1 or section 2? Section 2. Okay.
Yes. I spent a little time looking through this and came up with some suggestions and talked to David McDonald about it. And so we have some, frankly, minor suggestions that we would make to this that we think improve the clarity of the document. The first one is section 2, debate. And this is one that I'm ambiguous about, but I'll just go ahead and raise it. And there's language in here that says the speaker must state their name, territory, which side of the issue they intend to speak on, and also says may state their gender pronouns. And it seems to me the language about gender pronouns is not appropriate for a rule that says what it is you need to say. And obviously someone may state their gender pronouns, they can either way, but it seemed odd to me to include that in this language. If there's strong feelings the other way though, then it's not a big deal, but it just struck me as it would be clearer to leave it out.
So we don't want a record that would indicate people may not state their gender pronouns.
No, certainly not.
But you're advocating that we'd be better off to just not deal with it. Mr. McDonald?
Yeah, as long as you're looking my way, let me further state the point. I think it's a bit insulting to say you have to have permission to tell people what your gender pronouns are if you want to do it. That's the reason I'd take it out. Frank would take it out because it's unclear, but I just think it's insulting to people to say, you need our permission to tell us who you are. Yeah, that's their right, their story.
Any further discussion on 2?
Without objection, we'll consider it amended.
Oh wait, we have one more. I'm sorry.
In the same section,
Wendy, can you say your name?
sorry, Wendy Davis from Georgia. In this same section about debate general limits, I'm delighted we're adding this very proactive, we want to make it clear that people have opportunity to speak, but a 2-minute limit for just 3 speakers on each side doesn't feel like a broad opening to speak, and I was wondering if folks might be amenable to amending that up to 5 speakers on each side.
Frank? Oh, sorry. Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, I would point out that later on, under the section, where is it? Motion to limit or extend, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find, is that the one?
Are you
Yes.
talking about Amendment
Yeah.
7?
Yeah, that's right, okay. Yeah, the end of that statement says, a motion to limit or extend the limits of debate in order to blah, 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 can be adopted by a majority. I actually do have a change on that too, so it would be changed to just a motion to extend. So basically what it does is currently we don't have any specific framework. This sets up a framework. You have two minutes to speak, 3 on each side. If it's an important issue and people want to talk more, then you can ask for more time. The majority can give you more time. So that's I think the language that addresses Ms. Davis's issue, at least to me.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually my interpretation of it too, Frank. I don't know, Jim, if you agree.
May I speak to that?
Wendy?
Wendy Davis again from Georgia. It is absolutely very clear that it can be extended, but I also know that if you're the person who's asking to extend it, that's an obstacle. I mean, it really is. We've all been in meetings where people are like, no, we're done because we want to go home. And again, if the point of this is to say, we really want to open up and say more people can have input, anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we? Frank, did you have something else you want to add?
I have a suggestion to item B, secondary motion.
We're still on A, right?
But I have nothing else on A.
You said you had a motion to limit or extend.
Yeah.
I didn't get the language.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we already did that. I apologize. I wanted to take out where it says a motion to limit or extend the limits to delete to limit. So you can't cut it off with the simple majority. You can cut it off with the 2/3 vote. But so yes, that was my other change
So
to
you can
section.
cut it off by calling the question.
Exactly. Yeah.
But not by a simple majority under these rules.
Correct.
Understand, and we've noted that. I've also been asked to clarify that this is intended to be that debate expires on a debatable motion when 3 speakers on each side of an issue have had the opportunity. So there's not 3 speakers overall. So if we could put that in there also.
It's in there. Mm-hmm.
All right. So shall we?
What are you saying, Helen? Wait. Yeah. Yeah. So are we going to take these without objection? Guess we are. Thank you. So we're going to move on to 3. Or 2.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, did we just vote on all those things we talked about, or just that last piece?
Just this language. The language that we just changed, or was recommended by David and Frank.
So do I need to make a formal motion to change it from 3 to 5 for it to be voted on?
I think we're doing it Without objection, so we don't actually need a motion. Or we could do a motion, but we don't need to.
We might have. I think we're going to
I
have
don't
to
think we
vote.
did that piece, but.
No, because actually,
She's-
we're going to get to a motion, an overall motion later on, so
Yeah, so
for the
she's-
moment, we'll just do it.
She's requesting us.
Jim, I'm sorry, I'm confused. I think what Wendy was asking was, did she need to make a motion to change it from 3 to 5? And your response sounded to me like you were saying we had changed it to 5 without objection, but I don't think that was ever done. So, yeah, okay.
Do you want to make a motion, Wendy?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to make a motion. This is Wendy Davis from Georgia, and I would like to expand it to 5 members on each side of the issue to speak. Thank you.
Well, 5 members, I thought you were extending for 5 to 5 minutes.
No, I was talking about the number of speakers from 3 to 5. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a second to this motion?
Support?
Oh, Andre, did you second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
The nays have it. Yes. You said what? What did-
On section 2B, secondary motions, in the last sentence, I would add a brief clause so it states, secondary motions are debatable pursuant to the procedures set forth in Rule 2A. Just to clarify.
Okay.
And delete 2, yeah.
Any further discussion on that? Right, or objection? Hearing none. We'll accept the language. Now we're going to move to section C. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move on to section 3. Any discussion on section 3? Frank?
Yeah. Just to clear, again, these are just, I apologize for taking up time, but if we're going to adopt these rules, I think they should be clear. So we had just had some thoughts. On section 3B, and I defer to Helen if I'm off base on this, but it seems to me it should say the ordinary method of voting.
Frank, one second. This is a Scrivener's error, but there are 2 section Bs.
Oh, good point.
So I will be making that section C.
Yeah, make that C counting votes. Okay. Ordinary method of voting is by voice. Then if the chair is in doubt, and then delete the clause, or upon hearing a proper call for division of the assembly. And then state the vote shall be taken by show of hands or badges. And add, and then by a rising vote. Yeah. Okay. And then,
Excuse, Frank, they would like for you to repeat.
sure. It's, the way it would work is there's a voice vote. If the chair is in doubt, then there's a show of hands and then a rising vote. the chair retains the discretion to count the vote or record the ballot, and then a roll call may be requested according to the provision there. Do you want to do that one?
Any discussion around Frank's? Oh, Chair Martin, I'm sorry.
Frank, what if the chair is not in doubt? That's not accurate by parliamentary procedure. A member can rise regardless of whether the chair has ruled and ask for a division. So that is the proper order or procedure here by Robert's rules. I'm sorry, this is from Roberts directly. I just want to be clear, the body always gets to ask for a division at any
Right.
point, so you can't eliminate that section.
No.
So if the chair is not in doubt, a member can still call for a division and for an alternative method of voting. You can't remove that piece.
All right, that makes sense.
You wanna go?
No, okay, I'll withdraw that.
Okay. Raymond?
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Several of us would like a proper definition of proper call.
Helen, would you like to answer?
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Buckley, you asking for a definition of proper call of division?
Yes, ma'am.
It is, in Robert, a single member promptly after the chair has declared the result may ask for a division. It does not have to be seconded. And it simply has to be loud enough that the chair observes it, hears it. Generally, it's more than one person. Generally, the chair has no trouble hearing it, but it is available on demand of a single person.
Thank you.
Jason?
Just a quick question for Frank on his rising vote piece. Is that still necessary if we're doing, raising your badges and showing that way? I mean, isn't that the same thing as doing a rising vote?
I don't think so, but I defer to Helen.
My question was around whether we need rising vote if we're showing the badges, which is a form of a rising vote in a sense to show support and show what side you're on a motion. I think the rising vote is just an additional thing that we don't need added to this.
Any further discussion on that? Anybody opposed? Jason's? You defer to Jason, you said? Okay. April?
I'm sorry, but the way I read this, it is just an option that if for some reason the chair has trouble observing hands, it gives an extra layer of transparency to also have the option to raise badges to make sure that a proper assessment can be made of the vote.
Jason?
My one concern with that is the way that we operate. One, I think it's less inclusive of those who are physically not able to stand during a vote count. And we've got some members like that as we look today at our meetings, our task force on meetings and accessibility. I also remember we as a body also carry proxies as well. So by raising your badges and holding the proxy up, it allows a count that way as well versus just a standing of individuals.
Wendy?
I have a clarifying question, please. When we're talking about raising badges, are we just trying to have a physical manifestation that is a little more obvious than a voice vote, or are we literally going to count those raised hands? Because I've heard both.
It's to my understanding, it's not a physical count. It is just to make sure that the chairman is able to verify the vote. Any further discussion?
Trust me, I am not trying.
April, that's okay.
It is the last thing I want to do to extend this. But I Jason, I appreciate your comment, and I think it raises a larger question about physical ability having anything to do with casting a vote. And so your comment provoked in me how much of this is limiting to people who are differently abled. And I don't know that we need to take the time to think about this now, but I do think we should unpack that at some juncture.
Yeah, I withdraw the suggestion on the rising vote.
Are there any objections to Jason's? So we have none. So I can turn it back over to you now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So, having concluded that discussion, we'll move to Section 4, Standing Committee Reports. Anyone have any amendments to Section 4? And there is only a Section A under 4. Hearing none, we'll move to Frank. Frank, did you have a comment on that? I'm sorry. Frank, nope. Hearing none, we'll move to Section 5.
Frank's hands.
Frank?
Section 5 talks about, the second paragraph says the current rules of Roberts applies, govern all proceedings of the DNC and any hearings or subcommittees established thereunder. And that may be true, but I don't know that it needs to be in the rules for the body itself. So I would delete the language, just all proceedings of the Democratic National Committee, and then delete and any standing committees or hearings or subcommittees, because we don't even have a definition of subcommittee, so I take it.
Because that doesn't have to be dealt with in this set of rules.
Correct. If the rules are applicable. Yeah, so this just applies to the DNC.
David.
In paragraph A, where we're talking about interpretation, it makes sense to me to say we're going to interpret the rules to have a fair and efficient meeting. It troubles me a little bit that we're talking about interpreting the rules to be expedient, because that has a connotation for me of perhaps not being fair and efficient, but doing something that is wrong. So I would delete the word expedient.
So I think there's some alternate old definitions of expedient.
I'm sure there are.
And I think we can remove that here. Without objection, that's removed. Old definition has to do with just moving right along as opposed to just what keeps everybody happy. But anyway. Any other changes?
Okay.
Were there any objections to Frank?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Anything else in Rule 5? So the amendments that are shown on the screen can be adopted without objection if there is no objection. Is there any objection? Okay. Let's go to Rule 6, record. I actually have a question about that myself. It says, in the office of the Democratic National Committee. I'm wondering if it shouldn't say Secretary's Office of the Democratic National Committee, because it could be somewhere in the office and you'd never find it.
No reflection of the chairman's office. For
sure. All right, so without objection, we'll make that the Secretary's Office.
May I clarify one thing? There is no longer just a Secretary's Office. We are the Office of the Secretary in Party Affairs.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Luis.
Just getting the formal title. Done.
Luis.
Yeah, I'm good with referring it to the Office of the Secretary and Party Affairs. My question is, what exactly consists of, what is the official record? Is that the recording? Is it the minutes? What is it? What's the definition of official record?
So it would be, in addition to the recording, we have a court reporter at every open body meeting of the Democratic National Committee, and we maintain all of those records.
So are you suggesting that this be more specific and say the written official record? The written
it ties to my
record?
next question, which is, how long back can someone go to the Office of the Secretary and Party Affairs and ask for a public inspection and duplication of reasonable times? Where I'm trying to go is, a standard record preservation clause usually calls for a 5-year holding, right? Not in perpetuity. So my concern is that someone can go 20 years from now and say, I want the recordings from, December, what is today, December 11, 2025, and what was discussed in the rules and bylaws. Pretty much the recording, there would need a duplication of the recording plus all the written records of what happened today. So my question is, what exactly is the official records? And perhaps we should open discussion as to limit the amount of years that someone can go back and ask for that duplication.
So if you could lower the screen just a little bit, the language on the screen, so that we get the language, and shall be open and available for public inspection and duplication, because that's the question you're raising, is how long is it open for inspection and duplication?
Correct.
And I'm going to ask Jason if you have an input on that.
I can do my best to answer that, Mr. Co-Chair. As far as, to my understanding, as I review this language, official record for inspection items would include the transcript. I would also include in that ballots that were cast at a meeting. We have historically allowed members to come in and look at, if we used actual paper ballots at a vote, that they could see those, that they could look at tally sheets and things like that. Our office maintains that, but then after a period of time, and I would just want to confer, we have historically transferred those to the National Archives post that process. We, obviously we're in a digital age, so when you think of recordings, this is obviously up on YouTube right now, and my idea would hopefully that it will, live in perpetuity, so folks can go and see this. Is, because of our chairman have really made sure that all of our standing committees are live streamed for the public, but that would be most of the proceedings and things that way are available for folks to see, and we've put processes in place for folks to come and review that, or to request transcripts as well by reaching out to the office and sending those. And we go back many, many years on those and are available for folks.
Okay, then, but, so if you've transferred documents to the National Archives, then they're not available in the Secretary's office for duplication?
We then request them back, and we'll request items from the National Archives back, and they'll bring those boxes back to us. And
okay.
So when folks do have questions on that, we can request those back, and they're just record keeping for us.
With that, then, I don't think there's a need to then limit the inspection and duplication to 5 years, for example.
Okay.
Stephanie, I saw your check go up and down. Are you?
Secretary Ray answered it very well, but I'll set a calendar invite, and we can all go in 20 years to inspect it if you want.
All right.
Wendy?
I just had a question about the next section. Are we currently transcribing all the meetings, or is that a new idea?
Secretary Ray?
She's on transcribe.
We currently, there's a court reporter at all of our official meetings, yes, that are transcribed. It's one of the reasons I think during these we ask you to state your name so that the court reporter can get that, but we do transcribe for the record. That serves as the official minutes of our meeting, or the official transcripts from each meeting.
Shad, then Frank. Oh, David, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. A technical question for Secretary Ray then. This is maybe too in the weeds, so tell me to buzz off if so. But if there's some records that are at the National Archives, not in the office, should it be maintained by the office? Or is it in the office? That makes most sense for you.
I could see by, if the chair, would be fine, I think, in that they're maintained by, and where they're physically located at the time. I would be comfortable with that if the body would be.
It's a way of covering the National Archives and so on. Yeah. So I see the changes being made. Good. All right. Any further comments on this section? Yes.
Joanne, well, David, then Joanne, I'm sorry.
I have a couple of comments to make in connection with the suggestion that we limit the access. We've had situations in this committee as recently as probably 2017 where a question has come up about whether something could be done, and we had to refer to a transcript that was 20 years old to determine what we had done in the past, namely, could we just create a co-chairpersonship or not? And a discussion came up as to whether Don Fowler had been a co-chair or whether there'd been a national chair and a general chair. Rick Boylan, who happened to be in the room, impressed everybody by pulling up the transcript of the 1996 session and pointing out what had happened, which, by the way, contradicted Chairman Fowler's memory of what had happened. And we resolved it. And sometimes it is important to be able to find out when you're dealing with a body that relies on precedent, what the precedent was, and more importantly, why you created the rule to start with. So I think it's dangerous to say, well, if it's more than 5 years old, which is basically one cycle of this committee, you won't be able to find it in the Secretary's office, because my second point is having just recently tried to find a copy of our charter, which the response I got, because I did in fact talk to the famous Rick Boylan, because I figured he probably had it on his phone the way he had the other things. He said it's probably at the National Archives, and I then tried to locate something in the National Archives to be able to look at it. And I'm sure that an experienced researcher, if Elaine Kmark was here, probably she could tell me how to find it, in 5 minutes or something. But I gave up and finally went to the Wayback Machine trying to find a copy of our charter. So the assumption that we send stuff over to the archives and we're going to be able to find it quickly is something I question. I've had the same experience in the state of Washington where we turned over our archives to a university archive system, and they still have basically next to no index. What I would suggest that we do with this, though, is at some point we can limit access to members of the DNC as opposed to the public. I mean, I don't think there's any reason that the public needs to be able to go back through our records unless we think it's a good idea. But I do question whether we really want to limit our own access to materials to that short a time frame.
Joanne?
Joanne Dowdell, New Hampshire. Just a point of clarification. In most offices, there is a records retention procedure or some length of time that records are required to be retained. And if there is such language in a procedures manual at the DNC, just as there's staff turnover, that maybe it's made clear that these records are held in perpetuity.
Chairman? Thank you.
I just want to, we can certainly ask our general counsel here. We have different policies, of course, as it relates to employee materials, and those are covered, of course, under our employee manual. And so, and as it relates to retention of, workplace documents versus governing documents and official proceedings, there is a difference there. And so I don't know if you want Andy to comment further on what those differences are, but certainly there are differences on how we handle retention of personnel employee files. Do you need more information, or is that fine?
No, that's sufficient. Thank you so much.
Stuart?
I have 3 points. The first one is about changing the language to Office of Secretary and Party Affairs. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we did not change the reference to the office in either the charter or the bylaws. And it's something that the DNC itself did. And if that's the case, some future DNC may decide to change the Office of Secretary and Party Affairs to maybe just the Office of Secretary and have a separate Office of Party Affairs as we did before. And I think the cleaner way of dealing with this is maintaining Office of Secretary rather than Office of Secretary and Party Affairs. The second point I'd make would be about retention requirements. Retention requirements normally relate to the ability of outside organizations such as tax authorities and enforcement groups to be able to come in to see what the organization has done. The reason we want to maintain our own records is not for outside organizations, but for ourselves and for our ability to have access to that information. And the third point I'd make is just a bit of a personal request that it would be easier for some of us to hear what's being said if people spoke directly into their microphones. Some of us are having a little trouble hearing everything that's being said. Thank you.
I love your third point. Wendy, is your placard up or down? Down. Great. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman. Oh.
Discussion, I just move to a vote.
We still have one more amendment.
Well, and we also have the proposal that we go back to Office of the Secretary, even though they're currently combined.
Well, can I just say, and I would defer to Jason here on this, on what he's comfortable with too, but I think saying just secretary is fine. I mean, even though it's the Office of Secretary and Party Affairs, it is a subset of the office, and maybe it would just make it cleaner, but it's not a hill I'm ready to die on.
I'm going to suggest, and Jason, I'll defer to you in a minute, but that while Sham is correct that they're combined now for functional purposes, Secretary is a specific duty in the charter, and that this, say, Office of the Secretary, wherever it may end up operationally at any given time.
I'm fine with that. That's absolutely fine. I do note, to Stuart's point, I just checked, and I don't believe the charter, for example, ever mentions office of the anything, and it just refers to the secretary in that. But I think in this case, for me, I prefer having office of, because I love all of you dearly, but this is a volunteer job, and I like being able to delegate to staff sometimes to do it. So be saying office of the secretary does allow me to make sure that the professional staff who are doing wonderful work in DC can help maintain those records as well.
That's really where I was going. The Secretary and Party Affairs is a functional, paid, operational thing in the DNC. Office of the Secretary, which is where this responsibility lies, I think is more permanent. So I'm going to propose that we go back to Office of the Secretary here. Without objection? Okay. Sorry to make you do that. All right. And now we'll go to Rule 7, amendment or suspension. Does anyone have any comments or amendments to that? Okay. Shall I proceed? Okay. So hearing no further comments or conversation, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the standing rules as edited and amended.
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye, please. Aye. Opposed, say nay. And we've done it.
We have come to the end of our agenda for today's RBC meeting. Do not clap, because you make Jim and I think you don't want to be with us. So before we adjourn, are there any questions? Seeing no further questions. Oh, Jane, hi.
I have a question. For our meeting in I know, I'm sorry, Chair Kerrigan. It's very quick. For our meeting, and this can be in a follow-up email to us, I'm just trying to understand, for the meeting in Puerto Rico and then the meeting in New Orleans, it would be helpful for us to know, like, how many states have applied so far, or what's going to be the order of the business. I'm trying to understand, like, what's the process for those of us that are new? Like, what's the process of, like, what are we doing in Puerto Rico versus what's going on in New Orleans? Like, it would be helpful to know that. And it doesn't, you don't have to answer that now, Sham, if that's in email, just so we understand the process, the dates, all that kind of thing.
So we're able to, on January 16th, we'll have the final list of states that, sorry, Stuart. On the 16th, we'll have the final list of states that have applied. Our goal is to turn that around to you all with their applications as soon as possible. At the San Juan meeting, our goal is to review those applications and determine which states you would like to invite to present. Those presentations will not be in New Orleans. They will likely be at a date in May, provided we can lock schedules in accordingly. Beginning in New Orleans in April, we will start working on the call to convention and the delegate selection rules. And so we're going to start the process of updating and preparing those materials for you all.
Any further questions?
A couple of meetings, we've talked about Ms. K. Mark's very important and useful book of history of our party processes, and we were told committee members would be sent that book, so I haven't bought one yet.
We will get those to you. We shipped them here.
John, are you telling her that the books are here?
At your place.
Yes, they're here. We'll make sure you get one.
Who is that? Caitlin?
Thank you. Do we have the dates for Puerto Rico and New Orleans yet?
Yes.
I Google, I couldn't find it.
The meeting will be June 30, or not June, January 31st.
So, as it is written, the committee will meet at 9 a.m. on January 31st, 2026 in sunny San Juan, Puerto Rico, as Sham just described the process. So, and then the next meeting, of course, will be in New Orleans in April.
And do we have the April dates yet in New Orleans?
Yes.
The April DNC meeting, hold on, let me just pull up my calendar so I confirm. The 9th through the 11th of April, and I believe those went out. We will have more information on hotels coming soon.
Not to give the office of the Secretary and Party Affairs any assignments, but Jane did something really wonderful. She sent out a calendar to her members, and maybe we could just add a one-pager, make it a little easy for the staff. How is that?
I can forward that to all the members. It includes the boot camp trainings that the DNC is also doing. I will forward it to everybody.
Thank you, Jane. I got yours by roundabout. Luis and David.
Just a quick suggestion and recommendation. I strongly encourage every member to book your airfare as soon as possible, just because late January is everyone wants to get to Puerto Rico because of the cold. So don't wait until mid-January to start looking at flights, because they will go up once the new year comes in. So buy them early.
Thank you for that. David?
I just wanted to comment. We've had a meeting in Puerto Rico before, and it was a wonderful experience. But it is a very long trip. And for some of us, I defer to the people from Alaska who make an even longer trip to all these meetings, or from Hawaii. But the last time we did it, the executive committee was meeting in addition to the ASDC, and there was a certain logic to having this committee go down there because there were so many people overlapping the three bodies. But I've heard basically this week that the executive committee is not meeting in Puerto Rico, and it's just the RBC and the ASDC. If that's the case, I guess I just want to suggest in the future, these kind of long, expensive trips when most of the committee isn't otherwise going to be there are a potential burden. Well, actually not potential, it is a burden, but maybe an unnecessary one, or an inexpedient one. I mean, that's the one.
Thank you, David. Artie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Artie Blanco, Nevada. I just also want to go ahead and extend a birthday party. I will be celebrating in Puerto Rico on January 31st. So just putting that out there. I'm sorry, my 25th birthday. Yes.
Welcome to Youth Council.
Luis, you have to have a party.
Oh, yes. Working
Any
on that,
further
Artie.
comments? Hearing, oops, I'm sorry.
Trustee Hicks, California, motion to adjourn.
Yes. Yes.
Second.
Without objection, we are adjourned.
Training.
Go Birds.